Coming to you live from Denver, Colorado, the Mile High City. Welcome to the Sports Wagering Zone. Well, here we are, coming to you live on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as podcasting on most of your major podcast platforms such as Apple and Spotify and Google. You name it, you can find us, no problem at all. Well, here it is. The day has finally arrived. The first game of the NFL season on tap for tonight. Got those Dallas Cowboys going down to Tampa Bay to take on the champions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we're going to spend a good amount of time today talking about the game, giving you some insights into the betting on it, how it's been going, things of that nature, trends that have happened in those opening day games in the past, or how the teams did last season or in seasons past. Give you some information that might be of some help to you for tonight. And also, we're not forgetting about baseball. We got two baseball games to talk about today as well. We got the White Sox against Oakland, and we also have Colorado against Philadelphia. Those are going to be the two primary games that we're going to talk about as far as baseball is concerned for today. I know there's quite a few guys out there that like to bet baseball, and you're right there. No problem with it. We'll try to keep you up to date on these situations as best as we can. So we have two games to talk about, looking up real close and personal, find out what the line movement is like and who the pros are on. We're also going to do that with our NFL game for tonight also. Check that line movement in that game. And there has been a lot of line movement in that game. And boy, I tell you, if you didn't get in early enough on Tampa Bay, if you like Tampa Bay and you didn't get in early enough, there's other ways to kind of get around it. And we're going to tell you all about that as well. Kind of a teaser situation. We'll explain how that works, especially in this game for tonight. But in the meantime, as always, let's go take a look and see what happened yesterday as far as betting was concerned, especially in Major League Baseball, the only real active major sport yesterday. The underdogs went 10-5 yesterday. The Blue Jays are plus 112 against the Yankees, winning their seventh straight game. The biggest upset was by the Nationals, plus 180 at the Braves. The favorites' lead dropped down to 59.4%. The unders went 10-5 yesterday. Their total went up a little to 50.4%. Of course, there was no college football yesterday. We have a few games on tap for today. You have Kansas against Coastal Carolina and UTEP against Boise State. Those games will be played tonight in college football. But of course, the big story for today, NFL, first day of the season, Bucks and the Cowboys. So that's all we're going to spend a good part of the show on, talking about that game coming up tonight, as well as all the things that have to go along with it. Try to help you to decide which way to go in this particular game. And like always, we always leave up the final decision up to you. So let's take our first break. Let's get it out of the way. And when we come back, let's get the baseball situation out of the way, the two games. We'll tell you about those. We'll take our next break, and then we'll come back, and it'll be all NFL game night for tonight. So anyway, let's get that break in there. As always, we take 3 breaks in the show. Each one is only of a 1-minute duration, so we'll be back in 1 minute. And here we go again. Welcome back. You're in the Sports Wagering Zone. I'm Chris Pardo. We're coming to you live on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network right here in the Mile High City of Denver, Colorado. So let's get down to the baseball. So we're going to have a lot of talk today about the big game for tonight between the Cowboys and the Bucks. So let's get on with our baseball situation, get that out of the way, and then come back and do that as well. So first of all, we're going to be looking at two baseball games on tap for tonight. Try to take a look and see which direction the line movement is going, and also being able to determine which way the pros are going. At 3:37 p.m. Eastern Time today, Chicago White Sox and the Oakland Athletics. White Sox are 80-59. Oakland 75-64. Now, these are non-division playoff teams. They split the first two games of this series. White Sox took the first game 6-3. In that game, they were plus 120 road dogs. And then the A's came back with a 5-1 win last night as a minus 150 home favorite. Now, in this last afternoon rubber match, Chicago comes in with their right-hander, Reynaldo Lopez. He's 3-1 with a 2.08 ERA. And Oakland comes back with their left-hander, Sean Manaea. He's 8-9 with a 3.91 ERA. As we look at the line, it opened with the A's a minus, kind of easy, minus 130, home favorite, kind of right there. The White Sox are plus 120, road dog. Now, the public is split. They don't know. These are two good quality teams. They don't know who to back in this game. But as usual, even though the public can make up its mind, the pros always can. And they're going with Oakland in this game. We've seen the A's get steamed from that minus 130 up to minus 140. Now, keep this in mind as well. Non-division home favorites are at 61% so far as a win percentage this season. Oakland is 55-37 as a favorite. Chicago is only 10-20 as a dog. Haven't been a dog that often. We could also be looking at a lower scoring game in this one. The total opened at 9, and it's quickly been bet down to 8.5, and may even go down to 8 before game time. So in this game this afternoon between the White Sox and the A's, the pros are on the Oakland Athletics. Meanwhile, at 7:05, the Colorado Rockies, after their beatings they took at the hands of the San Francisco Giants the past few nights, went down to Philadelphia. That's where they're going. This series means a lot more to the Phillies than it does to the Rockies. The Rockies are out of it. Colorado has lost 4 straight games. They just got swept by the Giants at home, and they are 11.5 games behind the second wild card spot. So they're not going anywhere. In the meantime, the Phillies, they just dropped 2 or 3 against the Brewers, but are just 2.5 games back of that first place team, the Braves, in the National League East. In other words, the Rockies are, they're pretty much out of it. The Phillies still very much in contention. So tonight's series opener, the Rockies start their right-hander, Antonio Senzatella. He's 4-9 with a 4.16 ERA. And Philadelphia comes back with their left-hander, Ranger Suarez, who's 6-4 with a 1.38 ERA. As we look at the line, it opened with Philadelphia, a hefty minus 180 home favorite. Colorado, well, they're a plus 165 as a road dog. Now, the pros, they never scared off by the big prices that come in, even though they steamed them up and they're responsible for most of them. So they don't care about that, okay? They've laid the chalk with the home team. They steamed Philadelphia up from minus 180 up to minus 195. Now, keep this in mind. Non-division home teams that get a 10-cent move of steam or more are at 60% so far this season. Philadelphia is 38-36 as a favorite. Colorado, they're 39-65 as a dog. The Phillies are 39-28 at home. The Rockies are one of the worst road teams in Major League Baseball. They're 18-50 as visiting teams. 18-50. The pros seem to be leaning on the under on this game, as the total is 8.5, with the under being juiced up to -115, which means that there's a good possibility that that number will drop. Colorado's been a sneaky good under team this season. They've been good in something, at least in the unders, going 76-61 so far this season in the unders. So the two games on tap for today. You got a game around 3:30 Eastern Time, White Sox and the A's. The pros and the analytics are on the Oakland Athletics. And at 7 o'clock, you got the Rockies down in Philadelphia to play the Phillies. And that game, the pros are on the Phillies as well as the analytics as well. And of course, the under is the game that they're looking at in this situation. So that's the baseball. To get a quick look at what happened yesterday as far as this little system, our little method has been doing. So yesterday we had 3 plays. We had the Twins and the Indians, had the Twins, and that was a winner. Had the Tigers and the Pirates, we had the Pirates, that was a loser. Tampa Bay and Boston, we had Tampa, and that was a loser. So yesterday there were 3 plays, 1 win, 2 losers. The day before, you had 2 winners and 1 loser. The day before that, you had 2 winners. So it kind of gives you an idea of how the progression, how the pros have been doing. So right now, we had 15 plays all together so far in the month of September. We had 8 wins out of those 15 plays. That racks up to a 53% average of 53% as a win average for the pros in the month of September so far. So that's the story with baseball. That's it. We're done with baseball for the rest of the show. The rest of the show is going to be all about tonight. The big game tonight. You've got, of course, the Dallas Cowboys going down to Tampa to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We've got loads of information for you. So let's get that second break out of the way. And once we get that out of the way and we come back, we can spend our time talking about the game coming up for tonight. So just a reminder, you're in the sports wagering zone. We'll be back in 1 minute. And welcome back. Here we go again. We're back in the sports wagering zone. I'm Chris Pardo. We're coming to you live right here from the Mile High City, Denver, Colorado. So let's get going. We're talking football, NFL. The wait is finally over. Here we go, without a doubt. So first of all, let's take a look and see what the pros happen to think about this game. And then, of course, we'll see how Chris Andrews came up with the various numbers, how they moved, and kind of give you an idea on a little bit of a system that might be of some help to you as well. Okay. The Cowboys, again, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's around about 8:15, 8:20. It's the national game. All the other shows they might as well forget about today. This is where most of the people are going to be watching the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Bucks. The Cowboys are coming off that disappointing season. They went 6-10. They lost their star quarterback, Dak Prescott, to that gruesome leg injury back in week 5. Meanwhile, the Bucks, well, they had a fairy tale campaign in 2020, no doubt about it. Going 11-5 and then running the table in the playoffs. They won the Super Bowl at home in Tom Brady's first year on the team. So tonight's line opened with Tampa Bay listed as a 6.5-point home favorite. That's what it opened at all the way back in May. The public expects an easy win in this game and an easy cover for the Bucks, but they're not alone. The pros also like Tampa Bay early when it first started, driving the Bucks from being a 6.5-point favorite up to being an 8-point favorite. Some shops are even at 8.5, and it may even go as high as 9 before the game actually begins. Now remember, historically, Super Bowl winners, teams that have won the Super Bowl the year before, have been a really profitable bet in the first week. They've gone 18-3 straight up since 1996 and 13-6 with 2 pushes against the spread. Again, going as far back as 1996. Now, if you missed that early number on Tampa Bay, and you still want to bet on the Bucks, think about this teaser situation. Here's how it works. You take Tampa Bay from being an 8-point favorite to being a 2-point favorite, or if it's 8.5 down to 2.5 as a prime teaser play as you go through multiple key numbers, both 3 and 7. Now, if you're looking to go contrarian, Dallas matches several betting systems. The Cowboys are contrarian in a heavily bet primetime game, and you're getting a buy low inflated line dog play at plus 8.5. Now, week 1 dogs are at 55% over the past 10 years. 55% over the past 10 years for the dogs in this first game. Big week 1 dogs of 6.5 or more are at 61%. Week 1 road dogs who missed the playoffs the past year are at 62%. So that's kind of the analytics of it. If you like Tampa Bay, but you say, you know what, I missed it. It was 6.5. I didn't get in. It's up to 8.5, maybe 8, depending on where you are in the country. So you're saying, let me see, what can I do here to try to get back into action? So what you do simply is take a teaser. You could get that number down from 8 to 2 or 8.5 down to 2.5 as a prime time pleaser. Okay. Also, because you're going through those numbers, the key numbers of 3 and 7, key numbers are 3, 7, and 10. But again, if you're looking to go contrarian, maybe you're a Dallas fan, or maybe you're not a fan of either one, but you want to make a wager. So if you're looking to possibly go contrarian, there are a lot of systems, a few betting systems that seem to point to the Cowboys tonight, okay? You're getting a buy low inflated line dog at 8.5 or 8, depending what you're getting in at. Week 1 dogs are at 55% over the past 10 years. Week 1 dogs are of 6.5 or more are 61%. Okay. And road dogs who didn't make the playoffs the year before, they're at 62%. So there you go. The pros are on Tampa Bay. That's how they started out. That's why one of the reasons why it got to where it got to. So let's take a minute now and let's take a look at what Mr. Andrews has to say. Chris Andrews, he is the sportsbook director at Circa Sports in Las Vegas, Nevada. So the Dallas Cowboys, and the Tampa Bay Bucks. Looking at 8.5. The over-under, 51.5. Now, he says we've been all over the place in this game. He opened the Tampa Bay at 6.5 way back in May. The first bets that started coming in were on Tampa. So he says, I went up to 7. They laid that 7. So he went up to 7.5. They came in on that as well. They went up to 8. The pros came in on that as well. And even when he went to 8.5, okay, they wound up going on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The pros went all the way, bringing it up from 6.5 up to 8.5. So it shows you what kind of money they come in with. Now, there was, of course, some concern over the summer about the status of Dak Prescott. So at 9.5, the pros finally came down and they started to bet on the Cowboys, and they took them at 9.5 and 9. So you kind of look and see what's going on. That's how it's been going. It's been kind of up and down as far as the betting is concerned. Now, Chris says he's back at Tampa Bay at 8, but it might be 8.5 soon, might even be 9 by game time. The recreational bettors became even more interested in the Bucks when the guard for the Cowboys, Zach Martin, was ruled out of the game because of COVID-19. Now, that support is going to affect teasers as well. With a 6-point teaser, you can drop the line through the key numbers of 7 and 3. Sharps, the pros, have been doing that for many, many years, for decades. Teaser impact will be part of his thinking process in the hours just before kickoff time. He says, I might have to go to 9, -9, making Tampa a 9-point favorite to play some defense against those teaser bets. So you see what he's up against in this big game. And you know, it's the only game in town. Yeah, there might be some drips and drabs on baseball and maybe a couple of drips and drabs on the college football games for tonight. But this is where all the money's coming in. And let me tell you something. These guys are nervous at this point in time because they could go either way. Now, he's been getting some good two-way action on the total. He opened the total at 49.5, bet up to 5.2, almost at 52. That's as high as he went. Then the under money started coming in, so he dropped it down to 51.5. He says that's where it looks pretty good right now. More than likely, that is where it's going to stand. So there you see the progression. You see how it happened. 6.5. If you got in early, you would have had Tampa at 6.5. Now, if you like Tampa, you're looking at 8.5, 8, maybe 9 in some places. Once again, depending where you're doing your business. But that's the story for that as far as Chris Andrews is concerned. He's the sportsbook director. He's the guy who's on the line for this game. He's the one that's trying to make a profit for his company. And, of course, not only Chris, but all the sports books. They're really, they have to be looking at this game and saying, holy cow, what's going to happen here? Okay, teaser plays are going to come into effect, and that can really burn the bookies very well. So anyway, that's the story on that. Once again, just to tell you, the pros started out betting on Tampa Bay. They brought it up from 6.5 up as high as 9.5. Once it got to 10, they decided to go the other way. And once they did, of course, the numbers did start dropping because the money started coming in on the Cowboys. So you can look at it either way, how you want to do it. If you want to bet the teaser, that's one other way to do it. Or you can just bet the over-under, which is another way to do it as well. So that's the story as far as that's concerned. We're going to take our final break. And when we come back, we're going to take a look at the trends, some of the trends for these two teams last season, how well they did, what they may be doing so far this season. Now that it's opening, we'll go into some of that as well. So hopefully this is of some help to you in trying to decide this first game tonight. It's only one game. That's it. Take all your money, throwing it on one game. You don't have to worry about any other games being played, early game, late game, or whatever. You got that one game. That's what's going to happen. So we kind of give you the thoughts on that. Once again, let's get that third break out of the way. come back and give you some trend ideas and kind of take it from there. So just a reminder that you're in the sports wagering zone. And of course, we'll be back in 1 minute. Hey, here we go again. Happy days are here again because the NFL season is ready to start tonight. Dallas Cowboys, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm just looking at the board here in Las Vegas right now. Right now, it looks like one of the clubs has now gone to 9. One of the houses jumped up to 9. Most of them are at 8.5. I'm not seeing any 8s anymore, just 8.5. And now the 9s are starting to come in. Tampa Bay Buccaneers favored by 9 points in this particular game. So we'll keep an eye on that before we go off the air. So kind of give you an idea as to how the numbers are going. Keep a close eye on it, depending on where you happen to be. Okay, because different parts of the country, you're going to have different numbers, not big changes, but that half a point. If you've done this before, if you've bet before, you know how important that half a point can be in either direction. So let's take a look at some trends. We talked about these yesterday. Just want to go over them once again so you understand how the trends have been. Because the Cowboys last year, they went 6-10 straight up. They were 5-11 against the spread, which was a losing season. If you bet the Cowboys all season long, you really got roughed up. Most of the games were played without Dak Prescott at quarterback, although he did quarterback some of those losses as well. The Bucs were 11-5 straight up in the regular season. Then they came back. They won all 4 playoff games. And of course, they wound up being 12-8 against the spread, if you count the regular season and the playoffs as well. Now, Prescott's return is probably the biggest story in the game, but the odds movement tells us that people don't trust him as much as we think they should be, or whatever you may think they should be. The line has moved, like we said, started out at 6, 6.5, went up to 8, 8.5, 9, went as high as 10 at one point, dropped back down to 9.5. Now, again, it looks like it's coming back to 9, at least in Vegas at one of the sports books. Now, once one starts, generally the other ones don't want to get caught behind. They may be raising that number as well, so keep an eye on it. You'll see what happens with it before game time. That's when the really big money comes in, right about a half hour, an hour before kickoff. Now, of course, Brady, the Bucs, they're a consensus best team in the National Football League, okay? And of course, they have a great defense as well. So you got to look at that and say to yourself, gee, is Dak prepared to play against the defense that's this strong? It's back. It's the same one that was there last year. It's one of the few times in NFL history where almost the entire team came back. Okay, so that's what he's up against. So these were the trends. Dallas 2-5 against the spread in week 1 over the past 7 years. So over the past 7 years, Dallas is 2-5 against the spread in week 1. Dallas is 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 road games. But of course, Dak was out of most of those games. Dallas is 1-4 against the spread in the last 5 as a dog. So they were a dog in 5 games, the last 5 games where they were a dog. They only won one of those games. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay was 11-3 straight up. They were a favorite last season 14 times. They won 11 of those times. Tampa Bay was 6-3 against the spread with a margin of victory of 6.5 points whenever they played at home last season. So at home, they're 6-3 against the spread, winning by 6.5 points or more. So those are the trends as far as these two teams are concerned. So kind of take a look at it. And once again, the pros, they started out being on Tampa Bay, came in with their big money. And of course, you know what happened at that point in time. Actually, what happened was that the line moved. They had to move the line, moved it from 6 up to 10, then kind of backed off as the pros started. Once it got to 10, the pros started going on to the Cowboys as a backup. Okay, so kind of give you an idea as to where they are right now. I see it at 9. More than likely, we'll go to 9.5, and I'm talking Vegas. You have to look in one of your situations wherever you live. So that's the story for tonight. Teasers are going to be the big thing tonight because as a teaser, you're going to be breaking through 2 important numbers, 3 and 7. So there'll be a lot of action going in that direction. If you're going to do it that way, I wish you the best of luck in that direction. In the meantime, yes, there are 2 baseball games on tap for today. One is in the afternoon. You got the White Sox in Oakland. The pros and the analytics seem to point to Oakland in that game. Also, Colorado against Philadelphia. And in that game, you got to lay a little heavy wood, but Philadelphia is the choice of the pros in that game. So that's the story for today. Hallelujah. The NFL season is ready to start. Which way it's going to go? Boy, I'll tell you, it's tough. It's going to be one tough night tonight. Not only will the bettors be sweating it out for tonight, but I guarantee you those sports books are going to be sweating it out too, because there's a lot of things going on where they can really get hit really hard in this game tonight. So anyway, thank you very much for listening. Talk to you about this again tomorrow. We'll analyze what happened, see what is going on. And of course, we're here every day, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Saturdays and Sundays, we're here at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So once again, have a great Thursday, start of the NFL season. All is well in the world again. And of course, if you are betting that game tonight, whichever way you go, I really hope you win or you do well anyway in that direction. You're all not going to win. Half you're going to win, half you're going to lose. We'll see how it happens tomorrow. Anyway, thanks for listening. Have a great, great Thursday. Enjoy the game tonight. And like I said, if you're betting, I hope you're successfully betting it as well. Until tomorrow, I'm Chris Pardo. Thanks for listening. We'll be back again tomorrow, 1 p.m. on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network. Goodbye, everybody.